Hi everyone. So basically what I wanted to discuss for the next about 5 minutes is the fact that we've looked at films so far, and this is our first opportunity to actually take a look at some of the music inspired from dystopian literature in general. And what we start off with are two songs from the progressive rock band Incubus, who was more popular I think during the early 2000s and late 90s, generally speaking. But um, these two songs that came out from them that were influenced from dystopian works such as 1984 and Animal Farm, among others. I think it was around 2006. I want to say. You might double check that. I think the album is A Crow Left a Murder, and so this was during the time of the Iraq War, and a lot of times when dystopia shows up in music, it's usually um, for political purposes. It's politically driven. And with these songs, that's with Megalomaniac for sure. It's definitely a kind of a political protest. In fact, a lot of rock bands appropriate dystopian material, for leftist politics. And in this case, with with George Bush as president at the time, and Megalomaniac for sure, that's one of the targets. Is the kind of world that kind of direction was leading the country in. So let's talk first about talk shows on mute, which the singer claims to have written when he was on an airplane and bored, watching talk shows, and it came to his mind that he would write a song about that would basically criticize the entertainment culture. In fact, there's another book that does that in a similar kind of dystopian way and actually references Orwell and Huxley, and that's Neil Postman's "Amusing Ourselves to Death." And we kind of if you watch the video, you kind of get that sense that it's a degraded entertainment culture. In fact, he criticizes it as being the singer criticizes it with his lyrics as being manufactured and artificial and not good quality. In fact, we get a lot of those allegations today with the reality TV culture that's popped up. For example, 16 and Pregnant on MTV. No, people kind of look at that and call it dystopian because of what it seems to encourage. It seems to glorify teen pregnancy, which is not, typically our general conception is that that's not an ideal time to want to conceive. No one's usually, teenagers aren't seen as being mature enough to, financially even to handle that kind of responsibility. And in talk shows on mute, the chorus actually references 1984. He says 3, 2, 1. Come one, come all into 1984. And then, I mean, if you look at the lyrics on, if you do a Google search and find it, you find kind of his impression of how artificial, this kind of entertainment culture is with talk shows. I mean, there's a whole cult based around Oprah. We have professors who write articles on Oprah, and I for one don't understand that, but that it happens because that's the kind of culture that has been built up around the entertainment, and not everyone sees that as a beneficial thing for the culture. And I mean, there's also one point where there's an old man who's doing dancing. If you look at the chat closely, it says minimum wage John Doe. So, people are basically made jokes of in their society. And, I think that's all I want to say about talk shows on mute. As far as Megalomaniac is concerned, I mean, well, from the very beginning on the TV screen, you see brainwashing, and that's certainly part of what's issue here. Because, well, what's an issue? If you look up Megalomaniac, it's basically someone who believes themselves almost like a demagogue, someone who tries to sell you that what they're doing is right, when others, such as the band Incubus, see it as not right at all. In fact, deceptive and manipulative. And certainly the masses in this video seem to be manipulated by the leader, who looks both like who's basically a conflation of Hitler, Jesus, and an actor who resembles George Bush, basically, which is part of the criticism. In fact, the whole Jesus-Hitler hybrid kind of is supposed to be a warning. Like, even if someone appears to be righteous, that they might be using that that image, the appearance of righteousness, to abuse the country. And and the video certainly tries to make that point. I mean, there's a police force trying to quell the riots, and then later, I mean, the whole Jesus, Hitler, Bush figure turns into an eagle that eats the whole mass population, the fish, while as he stands on a podium that says gas, which is criticizing the war in Iraq as for being for, special, that U.S. only intervened on special interests, using the terrorist attacks from 9/11 as and Al-Qaeda as a pretense to, meddle with the Middle East. And to some, that would be a dystopian. In fact, there's a lot of people who would argue that we currently live in a dystopian atmosphere. I mean, certainly with the NSA leaks with the NSA leaks and what they're up to with all, mass surveillance spying, people kind of see that as Big Brother-ish and ergo dystopian. There's also criticism of religion as being dystopian. For many people, it has been historically. There's been people who've written about slavery as being dystopian because so many people use the Bible as a moral compass to justify that institution. And so, I mean, in the video, you certainly see what the band thinks when they, there's a guy with a preacher with a book called the Bible. Instead of Bible, it's buy, bull, as in bullshit. So, I mean, there's a few things. I think those are the primary things that make it dystopian. So if you have any questions or want further commentary, feel free to just email me. Alright, thanks guys. I'll see you Tuesday.